You're gonna yell at me a lot, I know this. My name's Adam Bowers, for you guys who don't know. I am, yes, on the council. I'm also on the Park Hill Citizens for Prop Swim Committee, campaign committee for trying to get the bond issue Prop Swim passed for our city. We do have this little presentation. I'll go through this little presentation. If you have questions as I'm going along, just ask them. I mean, it's not that big of a crowd. I think we can do a little crowd management here. All right, oops, a little too fast there. The plan for the poll. So I'm starting with what's new, what's the idea, where we're going with this. The idea, these are conceptual drawings. The bigger ones were out there. Cameraman here is going to yell at me a lot. The idea being a 6,250 square foot lazy river, or swimming area. Well, that's a really big lazy river. Anyway, swimming area. We would also have a lazy river, zero entry play structure, separate seasonal splash pad. Splash pad would function on a separate pump and filtration system, so that way it could actually operate outside the normal pool season from early Memorial Day to Labor Day. Outside that season, the splash pad could still function. 2 water slides, state-of-the-art filtration systems, new family-friendly bathhouse. We would replace the bathhouse with a kind of more modern. Basically, a lot of people have gone away from the old locker room style. Now it's family rooms, kind of individual stalls for families to go into, change, take care of the youngins. Design is still conceptual with the rising cost of materials. Some of the items could be swapped out. We could still have to maybe put a hold. Maybe instead of 2 slides right out of the gate, we only have 1. But we plumb in for 2, wait for their cost, or wait for the funds to be available to install the second pool. The reason being for this, when we first started this back in September, October, since that time period, costs have rose exponentially. Thank you, inflation. The cost of this pool has already jumped about 11% in some areas. Looked at my notes real quick. For example, Schedule 40 pipe has kind of jumped close to 11% now. So that's where we would have to maybe make adjustments to the plan as the engineering, as the design team is fully finalizing the plan on what we're going to install year 1. Maybe we wait for year 5 on some, it's a conceptual idea. It's still evolving. This is the rough, what we want to see. This is what we'd like to see. 3D rendering of it. Just kind of walking your way around here. This is the splash pad up here. These are just, trying to think of the name. Just large canopies, shade canopies. The bathhouse, our current bathhouse sits right about here. We would actually be moving it over here, over where the current pump house is. It would kind of be above that, where that is now, which would also open up for additional parking. Lazy river, the shallow end, the zero entry. We already have kind of said we want one design change. Instead of it being a little kid could run straight from the bathhouse straight into the pool, maybe rotate that 190 degrees. So there's just a little barrier to stop the little kid from bolting from mom. Just some easy common sense principle of that. This design shows what they were calling kind of a zip line, not the zip line we were thinking of when we were kids, especially rope swings at Bonehole. This is more, it was a mechanical one. We know for a fact St. Jen had theirs for 1 year. They took it out. They said, no, return. They actually replaced it with some other features. It wasn't that popular with the kids. It's a mechanical, the kid grabs the rope, it's like, drop. Not what we all thought one would. Rock climbing wall descends over the pool. Volleyball net can be taken in and out. Again, this is something modular that could actually be used as necessary or as wanted. All right, so let's talk about the current pool. The reason why we have to do a new pool is our current pool is done. It is permanently closed. There is no reopening it. There's no repairing it. It's beyond repair. When you take a pool that was built in 1958, expose it to chlorine and water for 60 plus years, the concrete's starting to turn back to sand. You have settling, structural. Anybody's done anything with structural work can tell there's obviously something happening under the pool. We can tell that. Simply being the large cracks running all the way down, kind of in a pretty straight form. That's settling. that means something's happening. Our pool deck and it's dropping below the pool level. That's not right. We know there's probably voids under it. Thank you, water. We've lost 2,000 gallons of water, sometimes in a day, sometimes in a week. But that's a large amount of water that's not showing up in the creek that's down below the pool, where it probably should be since water goes downhill. The creek's dry, but we're still losing 2,000 gallons, 2 inches of water, sometimes 3 inches of water. We calculated out that's where we're coming up with the 2,000 gallons. Have no idea where it's going. Pretty good idea. We found it. The pool deck, everything dropping. Filtration system, we're constantly band-aiding it. We put in new sand filters, and then we lost another section of the system. The chlorinator has went back down again. So we're constantly chasing a gremlin in the pool house. We gotta get him out of there. Show you some other photos of the pool, current pool. Again, nice large crack right around the rim of the pool. That's showing the pool is staying, the deck is going. Problem there. Some of the hydration, the filtration system, some of the pump system, running the more or less conduit, it's not conduit, it's plumbing, around the trim edge of the pool. You got metal edges right there. Little kids shouldn't be grabbing onto, but that's how they're climbing out of the pool. This photo here is showing you one of the joints. Me and Carl actually walked in that joint, and I walked up to the joint, kicked it in my shoe, and I tore out like a section of the joint. I mean, the joints are failing on it as well. We know there's a problem there. Again, seeing the same joint here, but again, the Park Hills 2.0 chlorinator, the white bucket. That's why the big arrow's pointing to it. That's how the park screw ended the year. The chlorinator went down. The price on the chlorinator was getting ridiculous. The plumbing, all the repairs is getting ridiculous. We also were pretty well at that point, I think, confident saying that we're done with this pool. They were filling it with chlorine tablets, chucking it in at night, go in the next day. Somebody's gonna have to check the pH manually, make sure everything was working the way it should, or at least be at a safe level. Yeah, no more chlorinators, no Park Hills chlorinators. A lot of the designers who came and looked at this, they just laughed. But apparently we're not the only city who had to come up to that resource, so. Inside the bathhouse, main reason for this one is the hot water heater feeding the bathhouse. The main reason for this is a patch. You can only patch pipes so many times before you gotta start replacing the whole sections. We're finding that more and more throughout the entire pool area, where patches were put on patches to fix problems that constantly were arising. Rust, I'm not too worried about. I know the hot water heater looks gross. You mix salt water and metal together, you're gonna get rust. That's kind of a gimme. But I mean, just the constant repairs, constant everything that's coming about on this. Foundation to our pump house, not the most warmest area to be. Plus, actually, one of the biggest problems, talking with the city crew, this one just popped in my mind. They had to physically move the sand filters into the building. The sand filters weigh probably close to 500-600 pounds. So you had to have a crew of guys pick this large item up, carry it across the room, because the doorway for them to get in can't handle, the forklift could put it in the doorway, but it couldn't go any further. There's actually a large step, or a couple steps, right there going into the entrance of the pump house. Check valve, walk up to it, take my finger, I was popping plenty of rust off of it. I mean, they're gonna fail. It's only a matter of time. Inside the pump house, you see the clamps on it, up there and also down there. That's where leaks, where we're putting patches on patches on patches. The resources that our city used was actually impressive to keep this going for 64 years. So, gotta give some credit there. But it's time, at some point you gotta finally go, enough's enough, we gotta move on. I mean, most people do it with a vehicle. You only put an engine in an old car so many times for it's finally time for it to go to the junkyard. Financing plan. Oh, good. This is when I get to straighten all the mistakes out on. So the financing plan, $3.5 million general obligation bond, tax levied on personal properties. The assessed value of your personal real estate. I just did it. I even made sure I was not to do that. It is 41 cents on your assessed real estate value. So that is the situation on that. I made a mistake before saying personal property. I was wrong. I asked some other financier people, and they sent a really wordy email. I misunderstood the email. I thought it was personal property. In your guys' little packets, it says personal property on there. That is wrong. That was my fault. I did it. So I'll follow the sword on that one. So this is actually, if you were to take the actual value of the property, times it by 19%, that comes up with your assessed valuation, times 41 cents. That's how much you would actually pay. So that is the final legit on that. It does not go against personal property. So your UTVs, trucks, cars, none of that is taxed by the 41 cents. Is that good, John?
That's good.
All right. I actually got to thank John. John's the one who caught the error and actually made the big phone calls and went, no, we want an answer on this, and we got the answer we needed. So I appreciate it, John. I will give it to Stiefel Nicholas and Company, the ones who we're actually working with our bonding on. They actually have both yearly and monthly. They threw in the monthly because a lot of people escrow their taxes onto their mortgage payments monthly. So that's how much they would look at a rise in a mortgage payment per a month. The other one, of course, would be your yearly numbers. Commercial property. Commercial property is calculated a little differently. So they're assessed at 32%, whereas residential is 19%. So same idea, calculate whatever the actual value is times 32%, times 41 cents, you get the total. There is our timeline. We would, hopefully with this passing, after the council approves the actual election results, which would be right, not the 6th, it's the next council meeting would be the 10th? All right on that? 12th. Once the council approved it, then Brock Miller and Stiefel Nicholas would start engaging the engineers and get the actual final design. That's where the council would be directly engaged. It'd be in open sessions, hey, we need to look at cutting this, or we need to look at adding this, or making this change. That's where you're gonna start getting a lot more of the one-on-one. The idea also being we would commence construction by August, by the end of this summer, throughout the winter, work on building the pool. By next May, have a big grand opening and open our brand new pool by next summer. So, all right, so how much will it cost? So this is some of the frequently questions we've gotten at our meetings. How much is it going to cost to enter the pool? It will be affordable. That's the best answer I can give you. The reason being, it's not going to be $2. We know that. It's just not practical. We were a city that charged only $1 getting our pool well until just fairly recently, in the last 4 or 5 years. 2 years ago. And then we raised it up to $2. Are we going to be trying to compete financially with Farmington and St. John and Six Flags and everything else? No. This is a pool for the city of Park Hills. It's a pool for the kids, the city of Park Hills, for the adults, the city of Park Hills. $5, great. Either way, it will be set by the city council, which also means it has direct input from the people who show up to the council meeting. They can voice their exact ideas what they believe the pool should cost to be able to enter. What about diving board? As soon as you add a diving board, you just raise the cost of a pool $1 million. The pool, the concept we have right now, we're looking at about 8 to 9 foot deep end. To go the extra 3 feet adds another $1 million plus our liability. You have to take them to 12'6". You add one swimming pool or one diving board. Now you have about a 10-foot section of your pool that can only be used by one kid. And that's the kid that jumps in. So instead, making practical use of the entire pool, the idea being is no more diving boards. Almost no communities are putting diving boards anymore. The insurance liability is extremely high on them, but also the factor of, again, that $1 million jump just for one diving board. It's just not practical. St. John, Farmington, New Haven, several of the other Missouri communities who have put in new pools, they don't have diving boards anymore. How much is it going to cost to operate? We did talk with Councilman Hunsaker, the ones who are kind of leading the design build on this. Right now, as the concept stands, we need 7 guards. 10 guards total per day on busy days, and that's for the full rotation of guards. So 3 guards in rotation, 7 guards on the pool deck. How much is it going to cost in utilities? We don't know. And the reason we don't know is we don't have the final schematics on plumbing. We don't have the final schematics on the exact draw, the amount of power the pumps are going to draw. We can't get those yet. Off this design, they're going to be probably almost equal or less than what we're paying now. Our current pool is very inefficient. The pumps are old. They're drawing, you can watch the meter sit there and spin really fast. The new pumps we're putting in are state of the art. They're efficient, draw less power to do the same job that our pumps currently are doing. So it's hard to take something, that a semi truck has been doing and then compare it to how a Ford pickup truck is going to do it. Are they the same load? Similar, but not the exact same. You're adding in a lazy river. You're adding in other features that we got to account for. So a lot of hydrodynamics go into that. So we can't give the final authority, this is how much it costs. Is it going to be a lot more energy efficient than what we're paying now? Absolutely. That's it. Any questions? Johnny, look like you got one. Yeah, look like you got a question. What do you got?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, the first one is, you talk about high-tech chemicals, and what kind of system is it going to be? And are we going to have a manager of it that's going to be like, I don't know how long you have to have one employee, but to maintain it, and we're not going to do like we did the last 50 years, where whoever comes in, well, okay, you just take care of it.
Councilman Hunt?
That's been going on since I...
So as far as...
that's in the plan to have somebody that will manage it, actually take care of it?
Yes. So as far as who's going to take care of the pool, besides the park and rec staff, who will be trained by Councilman Hunsaker and Brock Miller on how to run everything. You would also have the pool manager who would be there to also learn the same system. Does that help on that answer?
Yeah. That's just, you're adding more employees. I'm just curious, because I know in the past, we've never really had anybody to maintain it. We've just been pulled from here to there. Hey, let's go take care of this problem.
Well, that's where...
it's a lot of money, and this has
Sure.
got a lot more
involvement.
So
It wouldn't be cheaper to have, just replace the pool as a pool?
Do what?
Would it be cheaper if you just replaced it with a pool instead of all of that?
As far as just a straight line
The
pool?
price,
The problem with that is we already know we have ADA issues as far as accessibility to our pool.
right.
So we're gonna have to go zero entry. So now we added the zero entry on. So that backs that whole line up. The whole pool has to be fully removed, like the structure we have now.
Right.
Everything has to come up.
right.
As-
And you could put another pool in that existing spot once you level it out and fix it.
Yes, well, and that's the idea. With this design would go in. So the reason why we're not doing just the old Olympic style pool is because the ability to have it inclusive, so as soon as you added the zero entry into it, so now we left the Olympic style, the one with just the good old fashioned four walls. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so we can't do unless we're gonna say this is an Olympic training pool, we gotta do something to fix the ADA, make it accessible for people. So now we're gonna drop one into a zero entry. Well, now that changes the whole pitch on that. Now it changes also the efficiency structure. But it also is gonna affect what's the draw, because we're not a lap pool anymore. So we can't do like a swimming training. So we're focusing on kids, right? Because that's why we're going to the ADA. Well, what's the kid gonna do in the pool? True, swim,
Everything.
but I mean, we need,
Most of them like to swim and I don't know, I'm just not for it, so.
Well, the reason
It's just not
that,
cost effective to me.
but the reason we put a group of people, we knew the pool wasn't, the pool's done.
Well, we all knew that.
We can bulldoze it in and just cover it with dirt. But the reason we did this was because we got a group of people together, just a group of random citizens together, and said, what do we want? You know what I mean? What do we need? And that's how this came up with this idea. It wasn't just, well, we just want to take the pool out and replace it with another pool. We kind of asked for input, and that's kind of what it came up with, and that's how these companies then helped us develop a plan for some kind of more of an aquatic center, you know, that like senior adults could go out there and do resistive walking in the lazy river. That's a popular item. So we're trying to find something to replace it, but yet something that appeals to a whole wide range of people and not just somebody wants to go out and swim back and forth. You know what I mean? That type of thing.
So kind of one perk on this design.
Kind of came to be.
You see the 4 chairs up here in the upper right center corner right here? When this design was introduced to us, as Councilman Hunsaker said, a mom sitting there and those are kind of shallow, like in 6 inches of water. So a mom could sit in the shallows and could still see their kid anywhere in this pool. You know, so for safety factors. You have a mom who could sit there, enjoy her time, be cool as far as being sitting in the water, and could still see your kids and still supervise.
And
Not to
this-
mention, it's a draw. I mean, look at all the different things for children to do, rather than just have a puddle of water, as opposed to this, where they have different, I feel like we're gonna draw people from other cities to come in just to go to this pool, rather than just a body of water where they could go to a river or, you know, a lake or something, or to Deloge where they have nothing, versus this has slides, a splash pad for the younger kids. Right now, we really don't have anything to offer the toddlers, other than, you know, where the well is and that little bitty water, which to me kind of seems unsafe because it's just a bunch of concrete and water, whereas now we have a splash pad for the little tiny guys that doesn't have, like, you know, a significant amount of water in it. They can just walk around, hit the things, have stuff to play with. I think it's just more functional for families with different age ranges, rather than, you know, a mom that has like a 1-year-old, well, she has to stay over there in the kiddie pool, and her 6-year-old is in the big pool. Well, she's wondering if they're swimming all the way to 12 foot. Well, she can't be at both places. This place, I feel like it's much safer. To me as a parent, I would rather take my child to someplace like this than what we had previously in just a long Olympic-sized pool. That would be my opinion. As a mom, but that's kind of why I'm excited about this. I don't even have young children. My child's 20, and I'm excited for the children in our community that can't go on vacation or can't go to Six Flags or, you know, can't afford the Civic Center water park because that's quite expensive. Plus, it's in Farmington. You know, I'm excited for those children that would be able to afford this and would be able to enjoy this, maybe at least once a week or something. I'm excited for them, for, you know, our, you know, we don't live in a high society town. We have a lot of children that are struggling financially, and I just think this would be great for them.
What happens when you don't have the proper amount of lifeguards? Does it have to be shut down? Because I know that's a problem.
So then what you could also do in that situation is not open certain activities on the property. So you're not going to say, well, I've only got 5 guards today, we're closed. Maybe we don't open the rock climbing wall that day. You know, so you're not going to have a lifeguard managing the rock climbing wall. Maybe run 1 slide instead of 2. So now you're down to only needing 1 guard to watch 1 slide versus 2 watching 2 slides.
Or you can have the mayor come and work. Volunteer.
John says he's more than welcome to. Carl, do you have something?
How am I know talking to, like I said, Farmington, St. John, Athens, and Washington, they all talked about their old pools were losing money systems. These have all raised dramatically the money that's coming in.
Yes. They help the pool pay for themselves.
Absolutely.
That was kind of one of the bigger draws to these
Hopefully
ideas.
we can keep the cost down where the kids can get in.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's
You know,
one thing,
always been a concern with kids coming to the pool.
And you can ask
Probably
John.
expensive and cheap.
you can even ask John, and we've said all along, is it will be affordable.
Yeah.
You know, we can't say exactly here's the price tag. Are we gonna go for $9 like Farmington? No.
I hope not.
Are we gonna go for $8 like San Jin? No. But, you know, we gotta maintain somewhat affordability.
Right.
You know, because we also gotta factor in, we're gonna have pool rentals. Families gonna rent our pool. You know, maybe there's different rates we do in that. There's been discussions of ideas of family passes. You know, so you're pre-selling the bulk idea. You know, so there's a number of factors that still go into play as far as revenue generated, but also at the same time the cost. You know, those are decisions when we have the final blueprints that say to operate this pool is going to be X number of dollars, then the other ones can start to fall into play. And it's done in open session. It's not done in closed session. The council decides it every year just about. So they have to approve the ordinance that says for entry to the Park Hills Swimming Aquatic Complex it will be X dollars. So it's not a hidden thing. If you guys don't like the price that's picked, come into the council meeting and go, no, this isn't right. This isn't the affordability. And I'll probably stand right there next to you if it goes really high. Because I'm going to go, no, this isn't what we promised to do. So I'll have no problem reminding the council what was promised.
Adam, our pool parties have always been a great success too. You know, when we raised the rate, when we doubled the rates from $1 to $2, we also went up $25, I think, on the pool parties. Thought, well, maybe we won't sell as many. Sold out, usually sell out by mid-June, you know. We took one whole day and shut the pool down. That was on Tuesdays so that we could do maintenance. Then we had one day on Sunday that was not open to the public. It was totally pool parties from morning until shutdown. Sold out every one of them. So, I mean, you know, it's always been a good thing. The biggest loss in the last 5 years was a couple of years ago. We lost probably $30,000 to $35,000 on the pool. And a lot of that was maintenance that we won't have on this. That's one.
It's not for 20 years.
That's one of the reasons why we doubled the entry, you know, fee to try to come up with that. But we did lose over $30,000 1 year.
When we brought the engineer, and the reason I made the 20-year comment, when we brought the engineers in, we told them we want to replace our pool from 1958. They were like, from when? You know, a lot of them couldn't believe the pool was still functioning. They're like, the typical life expectancy of an entire pool body is only 30 years. At 30 years, your concrete begins to become too porous. You know, it could fail stress tests, you know, and it's supposed to be replaced or closed or rehabbed at that point. I mean, we had ours open. Then in the 70s, we did a rehabilitation on it. Then we did another one in the 90s. So, I mean, we kept that 20-year time frame. It's just at this point, there's only so long you can keep putting patches over it before it's just too far. You know, the idea in this one is there's 20 years that hopefully, let's even just say 10. 10 years, we don't have to keep pouring in $20,000, $30,000 in a maintenance budget just to get it to open. That's not even to get it to actually function perfectly. You know, no more buckets with chlorination tablets, no more, you know, sand filters getting carried by 5-6 guys through a doorway to get them replaced and us having to shut the pool down while we wait for those to get installed. You know, or us having to shut down an extra day. Now you're talking about we can actually operate a pool 6 days a week and maybe save the 7th day for pool parties. You know, just have one day for pool parties, or maybe just shut it down, say, hey, the 7th day shall be a day of rest for the pool. You know, there's different aspects we got to look at. But I mean, either way, the options we have now versus the options of what we can have are very different. Anything else?
Then, I don't know, what about the options that we could put in later down the road?
So like, for example, on the slides, maybe on the slides, we only put in one slide the first year, but we plumb in for both. You know, the slide itself, what are they saying, 30,000 almost for one slide at that time. That slide, 28 feet tall. I can't remember the distance its run out is. But maybe we wait and, you know, because of the rising costs, we only install one slide. We plumb for 2. 5 years down the road, sorry, trying to decide if I want to sneeze or cough. 5 years down the road, we come up, we save up the money to buy the second slide, install the second slide. So it kind of becomes an evolving attraction in our town. So, you know, hey, this year we went and there was one slide there. Now, 3-4 years later, I want to go back because there's 2 slides there. You know, that kind of concept could also come into play for just keeping it as a moving attraction wise. So it doesn't become stagnant.
I know elderly groups that go out to Farmington and pay a lot of money to exercise in their pool. Why not allow the people to use their own pool here in the morning? I mean, that's a great thing. If the school opens up a swim team eventually, we don't know what's coming. I mean, they'll have our pool.
Yeah, so we would also still have the option with the lap swim, and I know earlier I was kind of knocking the Olympic pool an idea. Not a problem there. Obviously, we still want the laps in. You know, that's why there's still at least 3 lanes there. You could still have a small swim team. You know, the evolving idea what this could be used by for the whole community is changing. Yeah, you have about 20 to 25 older adults that go over to Farmington Civic Center to do their aerobic exercises. I know several of them live in Park Hills. One of the members used to attend there. He goes over there. I knew him very well. You know, now instead of him going from Park Hills to Farmington, he just goes to Columbia Park and does it. This could also be evolving inside Columbia Park as well. You know, usually a lot of the older adults, they like to do the resistance swim for building their leg strength, and then maybe they do a type of yoga style in the park. So now you have another group that's kind of coming into play as well.
Well, if you want Park Hill to continue to grow, we're gonna have to put something like this in, or it's just gonna be a lot.
Most of the business, there's been a few businesses, they're like, nope, I don't want to do it. Most of the businesses I know, you know, maybe people who own ice cream shops in this town, love the idea of people going here. I think I'll stop and get a couple scoops of ice cream. You know, it would only help each other. I mean, they go hand in hand with each other.
It'll help your gas stations and everything, people coming there, gotta get stuff on the way home.
And we're not talking about just from the city of Park Hills. You're going to have people from Potosi, Bismarck, Ironton that are going to come here because they don't want to pay the Farmington cost when they can come here and get a similar experience at a more affordable rate.
I don't like paying taxes any more than anybody else, but this is a great thing for Park Hills. And the assessed value of being on 100,000 is pretty low. For me to look at the big picture, go, yeah, I might have to cut a coffee back one a week, but I can do this.
Starbucks in Farmington may not like me right
I
now.
understand. You talk to some people, they can't stand Park Hills. I'm like, well, why do you live here? Somebody hold a gun to your head? Move. I like living here. I choose to live here. So for me, it's a small price to pay to have this in my town. And man, I'd love to see this last as long as the one we have.
It'd be great. You know, and again, in 25 to 30 years, when it's time for the pool to get a rehab done, you know, one, the city now has a stop clock. Hey, we need a plan in 25 years. This pool needs to be worked on. You know, start now, not the year before we need to do it. In addition to that, you know, we know what it's going to need more confidently. You know, how many times have we gone in and done repairs to the pool, done a rehab, and then the very next year something else broke, and we had no way of foreseeing that was going to break. You know, in this one, in 25 years, filtration system's going to get replaced. That's the average life expectancy one. Maybe our pumps get upgraded because in 25 years, you know, I just got a new bandsaw in my high school shop that I teach. It is a 1-horse motor that is a 110. I'm like, you know, just 20 years ago, that was a 3-phase motor right there. No, I've now got a saw that I just plug in a regular outlet. My 3-phase outlets sit there all sad and sorrow because nothing's plugged into them. You know, we'll have better ideas and the efficiency would just improve.
This is self-sufficient, pays for itself. I'm not looking for making a profit on this or taking it back to the city to pay for a sidewalk, but if it pays for itself and then we could put money away for what the cost that comes next year or 5 years, man, that would be an awesome.
Or the fact that we're going to help our businesses out so they have a chance to grow, a chance to be stronger.
And it draws attention somewhere else than downtown. I mean, downtown's awesome, amazing, but it draws attention to other parts of our town. Right now, all the attention's going to the downtown area, which is good. But you want everyone to see the entire town, not just.
Well, the family that goes out to St. Joe to go RV and that camps that weekend, you know, go out there, go have fun in the morning, and the afternoon when it's really super hot, come into Park Hills, go swim at our aquatic center. You know, have a good time. We're all kind of an inclusive town now.
Just curious, how big an area is that gonna take up? Is it gonna go almost to the street, or?
There's the bathhouse in this drawing here. So you see my mouse? I'll go.
That's laid over.
I'm just curious
This is-
how big it is.
No.
Yeah.
So this is laying over the current pool. The
Right,
bathhouse
right.
is right here. Rory,
So you're moving it away from.
Rory the
big-
whale's down here.
Do what?
Rory the whale, that one whale, the kiddie
Okay.
pool, would be right here in this drawing.
Okay.
So it gets shifted for, now again, conceptual. The idea being it shifted up a little bit. And I guess what would be technically what, south of the park? No. The west of the park.
Toward Buckley's or the other way?
Oh, the other way.
The other way, okay, okay,
So we're going towards that sidewalk with the bridge.
okay.
So the current bathhouse design is sitting on top of the pump house.
Oh, okay.
And that was the idea. The pump house and the bathhouse be on top of each other.
Yeah.
So it makes it, one building needs to get heated and worked with.
Now, is the current pool house gonna be a parking area?
Well, it'd be partial. So the idea, John, this would all be fenced in. This up here would be more parking. So we would actually kind of take some of that grassy area, push that back, because your entrance is gonna be on that end. And we're also gonna need parking around the splash pad, because like we said, when the pool's not open, the splash pad still will be.
Right.
Except for obviously, when it probably cold, we need to turn it off, I'd imagine. Oh, look at that, cheating tracks. I mean, look at that. Well, anything else? And again, I know there's been mistrust in the past with, what's the council actually up to here? Or bond issues, having double agendas, stuff like that. When we wrote the bond language, it's $3.5 million for this pool and this pool alone. That's it. There's no hidden agendas. It doesn't go any higher than $3.5 million. We're there. Now, the plus side to this is I know Mark is still actively working on grants. The city is still trying to actively find other funding resources. So either to make up for that 11% jump and or for us to turn around and go, hey, you know what? We don't need $3.5 million. We only need $2.5 million. We've got another $1 million of, not our Sarco, the COVID monies, whatever that one's, that term.
Infrastructure bill.
The infrastructure bill, because we are going to go to the politicians and go, hey, we've got a project shovel ready. You want an infrastructure bill for our community? We've got it right here. Benefits the health of most of our community. Well, benefits the health of all of our community. It is, ADA compliant. We have all the ingredients for a shovel-ready project.
What will the debt service you think be on this $3.5 million? Will it be like 10% that you'll have to have an account set up for it? Or do you know?
At this time, we really don't know.
We really don't know.
But I mean, if we're basing it on 3.5 million, is it not set up at like 10% that you have to have? In the past, we've always had to have a debt service account that had to hold so much money in.
Right now, we don't. Steve Nicholas is saying just until the selling of the bonds, but
Right.
I mean, that's where we're holding on that. They don't want to, be honest, just like the engineering company doesn't want to do.
Until you get to a certain point, I guess they really don't know.
Yeah. And that's the kicker, like the engineers, they're not going to do a schematic drawing on a pool until the city of Park Hill says, yeah, we do want this pool. It's the same as the financiers don't want to, hey, this is what you need, but we'll worry about that if you get it, because we have to break 57.14%. So we got to go for the 4/7 majority.
And another reason, we could have just raised the tax levy overall, the property taxes to $1. The max is you can go with $1. We could have done that, but then your assessment or your evaluations change, and then that affects all that. But another reason we did this was because we felt like we want to feel certain that 57.1% of the population wants this thing.
Right.
We didn't want to just pass it with a simple 50% majority. So it's a little extra, it's harder to get, but then that way that kind of assured us that the population was behind it, and not just, we just barely squeaked by.
Yeah,
So
when
we
I
did a
first
little
went to
bit
John, I
better.
went, John, I'm not running for reelection. I'll run the campaign for this because we need to make the decision. 6 years of being on the council, how many times did I have to discuss the pool? The pool. And I get it, but it was like, then let's do something. Crickets. So I finally went, no, I'm not running a campaign. I'll focus the campaign, all my energies on this because we need the answer once and for all.
Right.
And that was actually kind of started before we actually went, the pool's done. It kind of came in behind that. when Mark went, oh, actually, our pool is done. So now it became even more imperative that we get an answer once and for all. So it puts it on the city, do we want a pool or not? Once and for all, the decision has to be made. I can't tell you the number of council meetings. Now, you know them, John, you know.
Yeah.
We don't need no pool. We need a pool. Why aren't we fixing our pool? We don't need a pool.
I think it's a positive step toward the city, yeah, I do. But just a lot of uncertainty to it, but yeah, I'm in favor of it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not up here.
You're fine.
I'm against it because I'm not.
Most of those that are in the bulleted items is those are the kind of the set ones we want the design must have. Now, how much of the awnings? The awnings are $3,000-$4,000 a pop. How many of the awnings are we gonna have to, hold off on, or maybe seek sponsorships for?
It'll actually clean up the park better than what it is now. I mean, after all the other stuff you've done to it, this addition will really set it off.
I agree.
But even I think, like those umbrellas that we got, those shade umbrellas down there, they're in good shape. There's no reason they can't add and include those in the decking somewhere and reuse some things, you know?
Yeah. The idea of sending our sand filters to be sent somewhere else or possibly included into the splash pad system. You know, there's still some ideas that some of the money the city's put into it could still be used to keep the pool in the state we want it to go.
So if this pool doesn't go there this year, what happens with the existing pool? Are we gonna?
For safety, we gotta do something with it.
Tear it out.
So you have to tear it out or push it in and fill it all, but
If we go through the expense of filling it all in, whatever, and then a couple years from now, then we're gonna have to do that all back out when we decide and pass something for the pool. Then we're just gonna have to start, and that's a waste of money.
In a
Well,
couple years.
this one would have to be dug out anyway to put a new pool in.
Yeah, but she's
But
talking
she's
about
saying
filling it
Well,
in.
filling it in.
and
yeah,
then
we have to
have
fill it in,
dig
then
out.
re-excavate.
You really
there and
don't
fill it
wanna
in.
leave a vacant pool sitting there for 5 or 6 years.
Absolutely,
It's gonna look ugly.
but you don't wanna fill it in if you're just gonna dig it back out.
So you don't want a big hole there either.
And just,
I mean,
in just a few years.
I don't know what you do.
The fishing pond,
Fishing pond.
A fishing pond above the creek.
There you go.
Down there.
Water runs downhill.
Parking lot.
City Lake.
Hay Lake.
John's Fountain.
How many back issues or chiropractors have we paid for that filter house?
For the what?
How many chiropractors have we paid for that filter house down there now?
Quite a few.
I mean, I was surprised.
You walked in there with me. Yeah, you walked in.
I'm talking part over here for, but I was surprised, because I was kind of like, pool's a pool, man, put in some square concrete, let them fish and swim. And then after I went and seen it, I was quite surprised. I was kind of blown away. I come home and told my wife, I said, man, you talk about, we have milked that thing through about 7 lives. I mean,
Yeah.
it was bad.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we were never hit with a lawsuit before. Somebody had to walk away from their engine.
Till he hasn't served on council yet.
You what?
See, until you haven't served on the council yet, you avoid that word,
Ready.
that L word.
Hey, it ain't choosing yet.
Don't give people ideas.
I was afraid the whole bottom of it was gonna fall out while it was full of water. You know,
Or the pool deck
there were
actually
there
fully
were times
separate
we
from
were
the pool
losing-
body.
I think Adam was a little conservative. There was time when we were losing a foot a day of water and had no idea where it was going.
Yeah, because that creek never seemed to have any water in it.
Yeah.
Oh, I won't lie. When we go to opening up the pool deck, I want to see how big the hole is.
And that's just a trickling effect, if they're having an issue there, then that goes to the water plant, because the water's gotta provide that extra amount of water that you're losing daily.
Sure.
And that's just more money going down the drain. Down the hole, wasn't going down the drain.
All right. That's all I have.
Very good proposal, everybody worked hard. Thank you for putting it together.
Thank you.